r/AskReddit by Redmond Dts. Who is someone you have slept with that no one can ever know? My best friend's wife. I mean, we all know. It happened before they met. Matter of fact, my friend and I were roommates at the time. He met her when she was leaving one morning. But we've all just decided to forget it ever happened. My year 10 English teacher, but it was 10 years later after a school reunion. Edit, an awkward and interesting plot twist. Her youngest child and my eldest were in the same grade 1 class years later. Met her cheated upon husband at a Father's Day afternoon at the school. Can't imagine the look on her face when he told her he'd met one of her former students. I was at a party and there was a cute, if somewhat sleepy looking girl who caught my attention. As a host I was making my rounds as a social butterfly, yet she somehow kept ending up somewhere within my line of sight and at several points made eyes at me. Thinking all engines were go, I brought her a drink, struck up a conversation, and things progressed really rapidly after that. As we were having our fun, it occurred to me that I was doing all the work, but thinking she might just be a boring lay, I kept going. She noticed and apologized for her lack of energy. I asked if she wanted to take a break or a coffee or something, to which she replied, "Oh no, it's just the cancer. I don't have as much energy as I used to." She went on to explain that she had only months left to live and she was out with friends who knew of her condition. She just wanted to have fun before the end, ticking off bucket list items, and asked if I could keep going because, in her words, "Sorry, but you're probably going to be my last, and I don't want it to end so boring." I'll admit the revelation was a huge mood killer, and I kind of didn't want to continue. But I was also a horny 26-year-old, and I took this as a sacred mission. Being her last romp, she wanted to try everything, and I complied with maximum effort. She swore me to secrecy after the deed was done. We had several mutual friends, and she didn't want them to know fuckerando was on her list, nor have me branded as the guy who fucked a terminal cancer patient. I heard through the grapevine she passed a few months after, and I felt conflicted for months whether I should tell somebody. To this day I've never told a person in my real life, but nearly 20 years later I still think about her often. Rest in peace, Jay. I'm not sure it can be known now, but 20 years ago it could have killed me. So 20 years ago, I met this girl at a bar. We hit it off. She invited me to her place. We ended up staying there for 2 days, just walking around naked and are having lots and lots of sex. Finally I went home and bragged to my roommate. He turned white, looked her up on Facebook, and showed me her profile picture. She has some guy in the photo with her arm around him, looking like a couple. Turns out the guy is the local leader for the Irish mob in my city. Buddy was like, "You have to leave the city. You cannot tell anyone about this." I immediately called the girl. She was like, "Relax." She said she was pretty sure it was over with him, as she hadn't seen him in almost 2 weeks, and he hasn't called her. They had been together 2 years, and things hadn't been great the last few months. She assured me I was in no danger, no one saw us, and no one knew we banged. I'm like, what the fuck, pretty sure. I sweat for like a month, and was relieved when it was found out he was murdered, and that was why she hadn't heard from him. I continued to be her rebound for around 6 months. She had the most perfect breasts I have ever laid eyes on. My wife's twin sister. 15 years before she became my wife. Update. Yes, they are identical. I slept with her sister in high school and married my wife in our 30s. I did not cheat on my wife. My wife and her twin hate each other and barely speak at all these days for completely unrelated reasons. Their relationship was shattered long before I even started dating my wife. Update 2. My wife does not know and hopefully never will. Their personalities are night and day different. My wife, let's call her A, is quiet and reserved, smart and classy. Her twin, let's call her B, is wild and crazy, loud and outgoing. I knew them both in high school as friends. I wanted to date my wife in high school for personality reasons. However, she was dating my friend. I was at a party with drinks and recreational drugs when I hooked up with her sister. It was a one-time thing, and we were both messed up. Sorry, the story isn't as good as a lot of you think. My best friend's sister. Used to spend the night often at my best friend's house often, as he had a pool, hot tub, trampoline, and super cool parents who didn't really care what we did. One weekend I got up in the middle of the night to get some water, and I receive a text from her, asking if it was me in the kitchen. I said yes, and she responded, "Come to my room, I need to tell you something." I go in her room, and we start talking, and that evolves to making out, then to her blowing me. It went on for a long time, and that evolved to having sex every time I went over. Did it for years, and my buddy never knew. He knew. I slept with the neighborhood bully's sister on the bleachers at the college baseball field 35 years ago. Head of police's wife in the small town I lived in. A sports celebrity. She insisted, but I was massively outclassed. Like a game, when you accidentally wander into a high-level dungeon far too early. Not me, but my best mate. When she was 30, she slept with a guy she liked a couple of times. He had told her he was in his early 20s. She ended up getting pregnant and told him. He then proceeded to tell her he was actually 17. My father's fiancée. It was a long time ago, and she's no longer alive, but I'm still not telling. I had an amazing one-night stand as a student. Years later I was working in social care, and she was a client social worker. We had to work together for the next 10 months. Before it was a popular porn category. I slept with stepsister. Let's call her Jennifer. Jennifer was the daughter of my dad's second wife from second wife's first marriage. We were adults, there was alcohol involved, but it was still good. My friend's husband, they met couple years later. By the time I found out who she was dating, it was too late. I didn't want to tear them apart. My girlfriend at the time gifted me the best thing a teenager could ever dream of for my 17th birthday, or threesome with her best friend. Yes, it completely held up to the imagination, albeit difficult to maneuver in the back of my minivan, LMAO. A few months later, the friend and my younger bro met and started dating, and they were together for at least a couple years. I mean, she probably told him at some point, but there ain't no way in hell I'm ever gonna say something to him about it. You all are having threesomes at 17. My boss, we've been secretly together since a few months ago, and nobody knows. You should avoid concerts. Specifically Coldplay. Nothing too crazy. Friend of mine, who used to be a dick and make comments about my weight when I was fat. Lost over 100 pounds and banged out his sister, lol. A co-worker who I was infatuated with, we were always intense flirting and play fighting. One time it tuned into a blowjob in the basement of the restaurant we worked at. She was pregnant at the time. The school I work at, the bus driver is sleeping with the cook, the kindergarten teacher is sleeping with the librarian, and the technology teacher is sleeping with a parapro. They all have been married to each other over 20 years. For your information, I'm the bus driver. Small town, small school. I know it's not really a secret, but it never really dawned on me. Edit, I can't answer for the other couples, but I only sleep with my wife. I have heard our local fire department has a swinger culture. Absolutely no one. Still a virgin at 30. It's embarrassing, but no one around me knows. When people start having an affair they think they are great at covering their tracks. They really are not. Everyone around them notices little changes in their behaviors. If they work in the same team, it becomes obvious after about 10 seconds in their company. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening. Tell your friends about me.